Whakalawhahatu, good evening. Leading our news tonight, last Saturday the village of Toi held their by-election with two candidates nominated. Firstly, the incumbent Member of Parliament Dion Pakitofetu and Moka Elalini. Mr. Taufitu lost his seat following a court ruling that the condition in which he took his oath of allegiance in New Zealand last year was not in line with the Constitution, and his seat was declared vacant. Results provided by the Department of Justice, Lands and Surveys claimed victory to Dion Pakitofetu, reclaiming the seat of Toi with 11 votes, whilst Mokavaha received 6 votes. In total, 18 constituents voted in Toi, and there was one invalid vote. Mr. Dion Pakitofetu has been declared the elected Member of Parliament for the village of Toi and will be sworn in as a Member of Parliament at the next Assembly meeting on Thursday. Government has commissioned a review into the transactional banking services on the island to identify future delivery options. Premier Taketalangi says that he is confident that the review will result in benefits for businesses and people on the island in accessing banking services that are currently unavailable on Niue and is standard in the Pacific. A high-level government working group has been established to work through the various possibilities with international banking experts. Premier Talangi says government is looking at all options, the continuation of the Bank of South Pacific's branch services, and also determining interest from New Zealand banks in having a presence here in Niue. These discussions will be held over a period of 2 to 3 months. Health officials are increasing efforts to minimize the spread of dengue fever on the island with 7 new confirmed cases. According to health officials, it is suspected that dengue was introduced to the island as it has been a long time since the last outbreak. The health department has taken a proactive approach, continuing with awareness campaigns within the community.
At the moment, the outbreak is localized to one area on the island, mainly at Alofi South. We're looking at the areas from Utuko to Halmahanga, and we have seen 7 people so far from the same area who has dengue fever symptoms, and they also been diagnosed by the doctor. We have taken some blood samples as well, but over the weekend there was about 4 of them who were hospitalized, mainly for the reason to keep them here at hospital until they recover before they go back home. So at this point in time, we have 7 cases of dengue fever that we have identified over the past few days.
So what is being done at the moment to minimize the effects of the dengue fever outbreak?
Yes, what we have done from the department is just to remind people to be able to clean up behind the backyards, and also to remove articles or equipment that might harbor the places where the mosquitoes can breed. Things like empty tins or coconut shells, water tanks, and other materials that lie around people's houses that might harbor the places where the mosquitoes can breed. So that information is already given out to the public last week. We are working with the Alofi South Village Council, and I believe they are going to do their cleanup campaign this evening, and our health inspector should be there with them as well to make sure that the work goes according to what we feel is right for them to do.
This latest dengue fever outbreak has prompted a village cleanup for Alofi South, and blood samples have been taken overseas to determine what strain is being dealt with.
We have taken some blood samples, especially from the ones who already had the dengue infection. We are hoping in the next few weeks we will know what type of dengue we are dealing with, because there are 4 types of dengue infection, and at the moment we haven't been able to determine that unless that we have to send these blood samples away to Australia. So it will take a while to determine what dengue we are controlling at the moment, but all we can do here is to make sure that the public comply with what we are advising them, and also for the families and everybody to recognize the symptoms, because sometimes the symptoms are similar to a normal flu situation where people can get sick as well. So while waiting for the blood results, we are just going to continue to monitor the situation. There's no limit at the moment with the movement of people. We are not looking at closing the school. We are looking at maintaining our supplies at the hospital, and the staff are aware of what to do when there's a need to mobilize our resources, and also to continue to inform the public not to panic or not to cause any disruptions to what is going on in the cleanup activities in the village.
The campaign continues to urge people to remove any items that provide breeding grounds for mosquitoes, especially with the amount of rain lately, and also not to panic as the department attempts to get this situation under control. At the conclusion of the Pacific Media Summit in Pacific Harbour, Fiji Islands, the Pacific Island News Association, or PINA, also held its annual general meeting to elect its new committee and discuss the association's future plan, as well as adopt the resolutions from the summit. The new PINA committee retained its current president, Moses Stevens, representing Vanuatu, with vice presidents led by Mr. Michael Jackson from Niue. The representatives include Fiji's Anish Chan for television, Papua New Guinea's Jeanette Kwalahu for radio, and Fiji's Leone Zabenandambua for print, and the National Media Association represented by Evelyn Toa from Vanuatu. The AGM also received a proposal for Samoa to host the next summit in 2014. Niue is exploring options into the efficient and sustainable use of its deep-sea minerals and assets as part of a regional project. The Deep-Sea Minerals Project in the Pacific Islands region looks to support the region to foster better governance and sustainable use of non-living marine resources. National consultations started today with key stakeholders at the Golf and Sports Club to create a better understanding of the project.
This is the sixth National Deep-Sea Minerals National Stakeholder Consultation Workshop that we have been conducting in Pacific ACP states. And the whole purpose of doing national workshops such as this one is to introduce and present the Deep Sea Minerals Project of SPC that is implemented by the SOPEC division of SPC and funded by the European Union to in-country stakeholders. We had a regional workshop in Nandi in June of last year, where representatives of participating countries as well as experts from around the world and other interest groups like NGOs and the private sector were represented in that meeting. And the whole point of taking the consultation to the countries to ensure that all the in-country stakeholders, from the government agencies, from the private sector, the NGOs, the communities, are represented in the workshop, and to ensure that they are aware of this project and what we intend to do to assist Pacific Island countries or prepare Pacific Island countries like Niue to fully engage or to effectively engage in this new industry. And secondly, for stakeholders to discuss among themselves, the deep sea minerals and mining issues, and also the concerns that are out there, with the communities, with the public, of the impacts or potential impacts of mining on, especially on the ocean resources, and then to collectively agree on the way forward in addressing those issues at the national level and also at the regional level.
Mr. Tawake also says that there are also capacity building opportunities within the project.
We also have a component on capacity building, and we are hoping to get some interest from relevant government agencies here on how they can be trained or how they can participate on offshore exploration and marine scientific research, in which the project can support them financially to actually participate in those surveys and get that hands-on experience through those attachments. So that's basically the idea, is to build the capacity to ensure that we manage the environmental impacts appropriately and in an environmentally best practice, and we would like to put in place the relevant national policy, legislation, and regulations to ensure that countries, they are in a position to implement or enforce those national legal instruments, and how we as a region can work together, or we can cooperate to ensure that we benefit from this new industry.
Mr. Tamaki says that the project promotes the precautionary approach for development, as there are many unknown impacts of deep-sea mining of minerals, and this is a new industry for the region. However, the lack of knowledge should not stop developments, but enable countries to look into effectively managing data and information. The 4-year project began last year, and in-country consultations are progressing well. Variable weather conditions made for interesting competition in the Kilikiki finals over the weekend. An early morning downpour delayed the start of the Kilikiki matches, and as the games started, runners struggled to get some traction. But as the sun came out, the heat tested the will of players. Liku was the venue for the battle for 3rd and 4th placings between neighbours Liku and Hakupu. Hakupu, fielding a slightly younger team, were up to bat first just before 9 in the morning, scoring 280 runs and all out just before midday. In the afternoon, it was Liku's turn to play catch-up, scoring 238 runs, all out with half an hour left to play. Liku succumbed to the might of Hakupu, claiming victory and 3rd placing. In Hakupu, Avasele and Mutalo put up a tough challenge, with Mutalo batting first, managing to score 230 points with 18 out, 2 left on the pitch and 5 not batting before the time was up. It was then Avasele's turn to play catch-up with 23 outs and 2 remaining on the field, 30 minutes to go, scoring 233 points, claiming victory and the championship for 2012. Teams are now looking forward to the prize-giving ceremony and a date that will be confirmed by the Niue Kilikiki Committee. Increasing climate variability and climate change could increase the impacts of droughts and floods, affecting food security and the ability of communities to feed themselves. This is the focus of the Pacific theme for World Water Day that was celebrated a few weeks ago. Focused on water security is food security. Niue is about to pledge their support with the launch of the new Pacific Blue Water Ribbon that was developed by SOPAC to raise awareness of water and sanitation issues facing Pacific Island countries. The National Water Steering Committee is organizing an event for Thursday where primary school students will participate, and members of the community can also show their support with the new Pacific Blue Water Ribbons to be distributed and available on Thursday. That concludes our news bulletin for tonight. We do hope that you can join us for our next news bulletin.